Spurs win. Spurs win. Spurs beat the Wolves on the second match of the season to open up. So we got 2 wins, 6 points. Good start to the season. Today we're going to be talking about the match. We're going to go through our good, the bad, the ugly, where we discuss tactics, setup, player personnel, and each of those aspects. And, talk about what a great start we got off to. And what does this all mean going forward? How does this, what do these 2 wins, how do these 2 wins, the way we got the wins, look to how we're going to play for going forward, at least in the near term, if not for the rest of the season. If you haven't done it yet, please subscribe to the channel. Please support the channel. I would appreciate it. We would love to build a community here where we can all engage and interact and discuss this team that we all love so much. If you haven't done it yet, hit that like button. And as we go through and discuss things, if there's something that you have thoughts on that I mentioned, put it down in the comments. Or if you just have thoughts of your own, throw that down in the comments, have a conversation. So ponder upon this. The Spurs have won 2 matches, pretty much with the same team that Pochettino and Jose had. Yeah, we got 2 wins. What does that mean going forward? We did the same thing last season, starting off. We had a good start to the season. The first 9 matches, we were undefeated. We were going into the middle of December in first place, and then everything came off the rails. So what do you see that's different with this team versus what Poch and Jose were doing with this same team? And we'll talk about that here probably in a little bit, but I'll let you all meld that over. So who is your man of the match? We're going to start going into the good, the bad, the ugly. Remember, good is like, good things that happened, either, good player play, tactics, just setup, just anything that you can discuss, whether it's positive or negative. And so we're going to talk about the good things to start off with. So my man of the match was Lloris. If it wasn't for him, we'd be looking at only getting a point at best and maybe even giving up more than that. So that 1v1 that he had with Traore in the second half was huge. That allowed us to secure the 3 points and just allowed us to work through the rest of that match, finish it out fairly strongly. We actually finished stronger than we started, in my opinion. So, but that alone in my opinion, gives Lloris the man of the match. And let me know what you all think. My second good, believe it or not, is Dele Alli. Dele started off actually pretty strong in the first 15, 20 minutes of the match. Good start. Still, though, he has issues with being engaged throughout the entire match. He disappears. He's late in becoming involved in the build-up and helping defend in the position that he's playing right now. So a better start, but there's still definitely a lot of work to do there. He gives the ball away a little too much for me still. We didn't see that as much in the first match just because he didn't have as many engagements, but he had a little more time on the ball this match, but it wasn't always positive. So even though there's some things that he definitely needs to work on, I'm going to give him a good. If it wasn't for the goal, scoring the PK and drawing the PK, he wouldn't be in the good category at this point. I don't think he did enough during the match, but what he did helped us get the win, so I'm going to put him in the good. My third good is Bergwijn. I thought Bergwijn had a very strong match. He was our most active attacking player, in my opinion. He was definitely more engaged. He was getting involved in more link-up play with different players and such. So I thought he was our most active attacking player this match. He had a good match. I didn't really find anything negative. Are there things he can still work on? Yes, of course. But I think this was one of his stronger matches that he's had in the last year or so. So definitely, and even without scoring or getting an assist, I know he got assist in the first match against Man City. I felt like he was even better in this match than he was in Man City, in my opinion. Created some definite issues for the Wolves in the way he was attacking and the link-up play that he had, as I said. So that's my third one. My fourth and final good is Reguilon. I probably could have had a couple more goods, but I don't want to drag this thing out. Reguilon had a really solid match, in my opinion. You can see that he is being worked with either by Nuno or someone else within the staff. He is developing and getting better. And he's a young player, so I mean, he has room to grow and develop. He's the one that made that nice little through pass behind the line into the box for Dele to run onto and draw that penalty. So that was great vision, great pass. He was actually really pretty good defensively today. That's usually one of the things that he usually gets dinged on, is his defensive prowess, what he's doing. I felt like he was pretty strong today in his defensive aspect. And then he, of course, gets forward. He's been active going forward, and that's something he's always done. But what I think he's doing a little differently is he's picking and choosing when he's moving forward. It's not just before, when he first came into the Spurs, all he did was bomb forward. He just bombed forward, bomb forward, bomb forward. Didn't worry about anything defensively or trying. I mean, he would get back, but, he wasn't his focus. You can see now he's being more thoughtful in when he's pushing forward and things, and also being cognizant of what's around him and what the situation is, in my opinion. So I definitely think Reguilon's growing and developing much better under Nuno than he was under Jose, to become more of a well-rounded outside defensive back. And so that's I think Reguilon had a good game. Like I said, you might be able to pick out one or two other things, maybe even just, Nuno for, going with the same setup he did against Man City. It's what I said we needed to do going forward into this match too, with the issues that we were going to face. And it's what we needed to do. We had to protect that back line, and we did. And so now we're going to move into the bad. And just a reminder, bad is, it's not good. It's not the worst thing in the world, but it's kind of, in the middle of the road, but little under things that just didn't quite measure up. Things or people or whatever. So my first bad is SKIPP. He's not had terrible match between Man City and this one. He's just not doing what we fully need. He actually had more negative engagements in my account than he did positive. I know he's still a little slow in seeing things and reacting and to what the opponents are doing. And of course, this is only his second Premier League match, so I get it. But we need more out of him. We still need more. We talked about this in the last post-match ponderings after Man City. We just need more out of SKIPP. And you can see he does kind of grow into a game right now. But we need him to be kind of like Højbjerg right out the gate. He's 100 miles an hour, and he's engaged and involved. It doesn't take so long to work through things. And he seems a little slow. He's in his head a little bit right now, and it's not as fluid as he needs to be to get the most out of him. And then again, just like the Man City game, I think he's not doing enough right now for us moving the ball forward or looking forward to push that ball into opportunities for our forwards and our other midfielders. So there's definitely some room to grow. It's just, we're not getting what we need out of him completely. It's not terrible. It's just, he does have room to grow. My other bad, so I got a second bad here, is Tanganga. Man of the match against Man City. Comes into this match probably riding pretty high. Got off to a slow start. Of course, he is going up against the most physically difficult winger in the entire Premier League to play against in Traore. I thought maybe they'd throw Traore on the right side of the Wolves because they would anticipate Reguilon pushing up a lot, and that would give him a lot of space, but they went ahead and left him on the left. Although, if you watched at the end of the match, they were putting Traore out there on the right, trying to, use that space that Reguilon often leaves when he pushes up. But, he got off to a rough start. He had that head, he banged his head in that early aerial duel. I don't know if he was a little dazed or what for the first half or so, but he really did struggle against Traore, and until he kind of figured him out a little bit. For me, it was a tale of two halves. First half was pretty rough, made a few mistakes, but then in the second half, he really was kind of coming back into his own. He made some good stops against Traore and a couple other players in that second half. So it's a tale of two matches. Again, Traore ran over everybody. There was no one that was handling Traore. So, and that's who Jaffet had to go up against most of the match. So for him to, be completely seen in that light when no one could stop him very well at all, it's, he did the best he could, and he got off to a rough start, but he righted that ship a little bit. So he's, I put him in the bad category just because of that rough start and some things that happened early on in that match. Those are my only two bads. Now we're going into the ugly. So ugly things, serious issues that I saw within this match that need to be addressed immediately for us to be pushing forward and trying to remain successful within this season. And so my first ugly is Sanchez. I know we didn't give up any goal, another clean sheet, but just as we always see in every match, he has significant errors that lead to opportunities for the other team. He was involved in two errors that led to significant opportunities for the Wolves to score. And one of them was that 1v1 that Traore had against Lloris that he saved. It's just too often. He didn't have that many positives engagements, in my opinion, today. He had significantly more negative engagements. And just because they don't lead to goals does not mean they're a concern and there's something that needed to be addressed. You can't just say, well, it's a clean sheet, we're going to give everyone a pass on anything that didn't result in a goal because they did something poorly. That's not how I work. I look at everything in the nuances of how things interact. Just because a team can't finish or didn't finish something doesn't mean we didn't do something wrong or something didn't happen correctly. And so I still see too many things with Sanchez where he's just not fitting what we need is out of a center back. And too often he got overmatched by Jimenez and Traore. I mean, this was one of my fears going into this match, having a true central forward working against our center backs. And it proved to be an issue early and often throughout this match. Our only saving grace was they did not convert opportunities, and a good portion of that time when we weren't being broke down through the middle and up front, the midfield was helping protect them. And it was the way Nuno set up the team, just like against Man City. We're protecting from the front extremely narrow, so they have to push out to the wings and not expose our center backs. So for me, Sanchez was ugly. I don't think, as well as he did against Man City, he did the opposite this match in my mind, even though we did put up a shutout. My other ugly is Dyer. So to me, our center backs nearly failed us today. Dyer gave the ball away at midfield, which almost led to the tying goal by Wolves. And that's things that Dyer does on a regular basis. He exposes us beyond measure often, just kind of like Sanchez. I mean, And it wasn't just that time. Dyer had some other issues, but it's consistent. It's not something that's improving. They're not getting better with these things. These happen regularly. More so, it's more often that they have issues than we actually say, those guys had a great game and didn't have any issues. I can never, even when we win, even when we pitch a shutout between these two center backs, I can never, hardly ever say that they just completely didn't function well. There's always issues I can find where we got lucky, or the opposing team didn't, finish off a great opportunity or an easy opportunity, kind of like with the Traore thing. And then same with Dyer. He struggled with Jimenez and Traore when Traore got in around Dyer on occasion. But they're just not strong enough, individually or as a pair, to go up against quality center forwards and big, strong wingers, which there's not a lot of Traores running around out there. I get it. But they get exposed often. And we're not going to be able to come out of the way we're playing now, where we're going to give up all kinds of possession and pack it in and make it tight and narrow through the middle with those two in there. We can't. They just don't have the ability to function without having significant protection in front of them. And even then, they don't function 100%. There's still a lot of glaring issues when you give them that kind of protection. So it's really limiting our ability as a team. Not just that, but other things do too. But that's a significant portion of our team that we're essentially using 10 outfield players to protect, to do what 2 should be doing. And that's just not good. It's not going to last. If we want to play ugly throughout the season and do well, I'm okay with that. But we have to address that issue of Sanchez and Dyer being in there. We can't continue. We're not going to be lucky all the time, and they're not going to give up things to the opposing team, and they won't complete the action of scoring goals against us. It's just a huge issue for us. So with this win, this leaves us in 3rd place. I'm doing this prior to the Chelsea Arsenal match. So, those results aren't in here, so that you could jumble up and also the Monday match. So things could jumble up, but this is prior to the last 2 matches of this weekend. But that leaves us in 3rd. We're, 2 wins out of 2. Great. We'll take it. I don't think we could have expected that going into the season. And for us, it was really a tale of 2 matches. There's 2 halves. The first half, even though that's where we got our goal, we were really struggling. Not just to get out and attacking, but they had some significant opportunities against us where they could have scored. We were committing a lot of fouls. So, the first half was really touch and go, in my opinion. Second half, I think we kind of turned it around a little bit. We were more effective moving forward. They had 25 shots, but only 6 of them were on goal. They're shooting from way outside the box a large portion of the time, and not very good opportunities in a lot of those. Possession kind of evened up a little bit in the second half too. And you can see that we had no corners and any really, offensive stats moving forward in the first half. And then in the second half, we actually had some corners and we were pushing into their half a lot more. So to me, it's a tale of 2 halves. We did definitely do better, at least offensively, in the second half. Still had some scares through the second half on the defensive side, but that's just to be expected, I imagine. That's what's going to happen. So those are my good, the bad, and the ugly. So, kind of reviewing, we had in the good, we had Lloris, my man of the match. Dele actually was in the good category for a change. Bergwijn, Reguilon. In my bad category, SKIPP and Tanganga. They just need to, they're both young, developing still. They need more time, more game experience, and this is part of that. So they're growing. They're going to have some peaks and valleys and stuff, but hopefully, their valleys aren't really, they're more like this. When they do have valleys, they're not detrimental, not just to themselves, but to the team. Their valleys are, hey, these are some things we need to work on. And then, of course, the ugly, the consistent banes of our existence, and the center back position, which is Sanchez and Dyer. I'm sorry, but I was going to give them a few games after that Man City match, but after this one and seeing how repeatedly they have not fixed what they were from last season. And maybe we'll give them another match or two, but at this point, I would almost rather see Romero and Rodon in there regularly over them. That's just my opinion. And speaking of Tanganga, getting off that rough start, I don't think Doherty or Aurier would have done any better against Traore or anyone else that was out there on that side. I think it would have been worse, actually, knowing Doherty's inability to defend and hold up. And, the pace alone would have just completely destroyed Doherty. And then Aurier, I don't think would have held up at all against Traore either, even though he has a little more pace. But I think Tanganga did the best he could, but still needs to improve and do better. But those are my thoughts. Let me know what you all think. Great start to the season. We got some upcoming matches. We got the midweek match and with Ferreira. At this point, I don't know that we want to be in a European competition. We've obviously, between our first 3 matches of this season, the 2 Premier Leagues and the 1 Europa Conference League, I'm not sure Europa competition's something that's beneficial to us for this season. We aren't deep enough as a team. We've proved that, not just against the first Ferreira match, but throughout last season. We have not improved the depth of this team. We just haven't. And we cannot hold up playing multiple competitions because we'll be playing in the FA Cup, the English Cup, the Carabao Cup, all this, even if we're out of England, we'll still have other competitions we'll be playing in. So it's just not probably going to work well for us with the squad we have. Now, if we brought in some players, which is at this point, we're less than 2 weeks out from the close of the window, I don't think it'll happen. Levy does not move that fast. He will not get anything. If we pull in one more signing, this beyond the kid we just got, I forget his name, but that we're going to loan right back out to Metz. That's a future player. Someone that can actually come in and help the squad, I don't think it's going to happen. I think we'd be lucky to get one. I seriously doubt we'll even do that with Levy in the way that he handles things. And yeah. But, we got the midweek match coming up with Ferreira. We got next weekend, we'll have Watford. They're kind of, to me, they're kind of like a Leeds United. They have good offensive prowess, but they can also give up a lot of goals. So that's kind of how they're looking like they're set up right now in the way they've been playing. So let me know what you all think. Again, please subscribe to the channel, support the channel. Please subscribe. I'd appreciate it. And come on, you Spurs.